Morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Join Jackie, Mondays at 10 on Facebook. And I cover a topic, usually that is advertised on the Sunday, so you'll see what's coming up. If there's a topic you want me to cover, by all means, send in your question. All these videos get saved onto the Facebook page. There are hundreds by now. Have a look on the video tab. If you or anyone you know or love has a legal problem, because it is a great place to start. There's a lot of basic tips about how legal works. Today, I'm talking about deceased estates, specifically the executor, and about learning what the role and responsibilities of the executor are in a will. So if you are thinking about appointing an executor in your will, which everyone should have an executor in their will, this is what you're basically giving them to do. Or if you know you're an executor in a will, this is what you're going to have to do. Or if you've just found out someone has passed away, unfortunately, and you're the executor in your will, this is what is coming. So the main things that an executor has to do will be make the funeral arrangements. So the executor, not the broader family, actually has the say about the body and the funeral arrangements of the deceased person. So if there is any dispute, it's the executor. You have to make sure you identify and collect in all the assets. So what bank accounts are there, what cars, jewelry, cash, things spread out all over the place. Find them, protect them, make sure things are kept insured until they're dealt with. Work out if you need a grant of probate and apply for the grant of probate if you need it. Of course, you can get a solicitor's help with most of this. You then have to notify the banks and various institutions. Centrelink's often done for you. Memberships, council memberships, all sorts of things like that. Creditors, if there's credit cards, other loans, they need to be notified. You then need to notify the beneficiaries as well. So the beneficiaries in the will, they're entitled to a copy of the will. There's no such thing as a formal reading of a will in Australia. Well, not that it has to happen. That's an American concept. So you can just give people a copy of the will that are entitled to a copy. If in doubt, ask your solicitor who is entitled to a copy. But the general rule, if they're named in the will, they're entitled. Then, of course, manage the assets, take control of them as the executor, work out whether you're selling or transferring, have to work out income tax returns, capital gains tax payments on the sale of assets potentially. You'll have to do a final income tax return for the deceased, and you may need to do an income tax return for the estate as well. So you need to deal with an accountant. You need to deal with claims against the estate. So if someone does want to dispute the will, that's your job to defend it. And then, of course, follow the will otherwise. So you can't just decide what you want to do. You have to follow the wishes in the will. If there is a trust established in the will, you're the initial trustee of that trust. So, for example, if there is a gift left to a child, you have to hold onto that gift and keep it invested until that child is old enough to get their inheritance. Your duties are obviously to carry out the wishes in the will. You must act in the best interests of the estate and all the beneficiaries. You cannot act in your own interests, and you can't favour certain beneficiaries. Where there's more than one executor, you can act alone, but you should consult each other and do things together. An executor doesn't actually have to act, so an executor could resign from the position and not do the role. You need to keep full and accurate records of how the estate's managed and what you're doing, what you're receiving in, keep a record of transactions. You can't mix the estate's cash with your own cash, of course. You do need to be able to keep those records because beneficiaries are entitled to ask for records. It is possible for assets not to be distributed in accordance with the will, but all beneficiaries must agree. So there has to be some level of consultation as well, and keeping beneficiaries informed, and obtaining consent from beneficiaries. They all have to be adults, of course. If there's a minor beneficiary, they can't consent, and then any change would be off the table. So that is a fairly broad brushstroke of the role and responsibilities. If you are in doubt and it is a role that you're about to embark on because someone has passed away, you can contact us, and at the very least, we can give you a 9-page sort of document with the steps all laid out for you, so you can follow that through, and there's a checklist about who you should be notifying. Otherwise, do think of it from the other perspective as well. If you are making a will, you need to be thinking about someone who could actually do all those things well. So someone who's fairly administratively strong, someone who's a good communicator, someone who can get things done. Otherwise, I hope that is helpful. As I said, this video and plenty of others are all saved on the Facebook page for your benefit, to be able to look and find out information about where to start. If this was relevant for someone you know right now, or any of the other videos may be relevant, please do tag the name of the person in the comments so that they see this video. Or, of course, you can share it with them privately in Messenger. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week. I won't see you next week because it is Easter. So have a really safe Easter weekend if you're traveling, and all the best. And I'll see you in April.